So, my husband made decaf. What? He didn't realize I hadn't switched the beans out from last night because I made some coffee express. I made a whole pot of decaf. That's gonna be fixed. I'm correcting this error now. Brewing. Let's go get my advent package. Joshua's still asleep. He's right there. The Snuggle Squad. Megan got mad this morning. She said, I didn't even have time to cuddle. She was in bed for 30 minutes. Because if she doesn't come down herself, my husband goes to get her when he goes out to walk. And he puts her in bed with Joshua and I so she can cuddle. She didn't even move. She just went back to sleep. So she thought she had just been put there. But she'd been there sleeping for 30 minutes. Really hard to open these one-handed. Oh, we have more gold coin. Oh, that one's pretty. Not going to show up very well on the camera, but it's blue, cream, and like a terracotta color. It's really pretty. I feel kind of stuffy this morning. Oh my god, I don't want to be sick again. But when Megan gets sick, she's not very good about covering her cough at all. So she tries to do the elbow thing, but she basically tries to get her arm over there and then it's down here. So she's holding onto her shoulder and then goes, like, you may as well just use your hand. You're at least covering it so it's not spewing out at people. But what can you do? This morning she said we needed to look at her Amazon profile and we needed to update it because now she's 8. I said, oh sweetie, look, that's already a very mature question. But I think we're fine because I think her profile is like 7 to 10-year-olds. So she's got a while before she's off of that profile. Waiting for the coffee. I got up a little bit later. I don't have a lot of time this morning. I have to work today, so my content is probably not going to be real great. Hey everybody! So I have absolutely zero content for today other than saying good morning. So I thought that I would do the fiber arts tag. I saw it on the Stranded podcast with Amy Florence, and she posted the questions. So they're right next to you there on my computer screen. So I am going to go ahead and answer those. And then I also made a 2017 knitting year in review list of what I've knit this year. So I can go through that also if the questions don't take very long. Okay, so who are you? I am Nina, and I host the This Old Knit podcast. Let's see, I am a mom to two, a boy and a girl, Megan and Joshua, and I've been married for 11 years almost. Ish, we're almost there. Alright, so number 2, when, why did you start knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving? Different times for those different things. So when I started knitting was in 2004. There was someone at my work that knit, and I had always wanted to learn, and we hung out a lot at lunchtime together, and so I asked her to teach me to knit. And she said yes, she would, and she took me to the local yarn store, which is Article Pract in Berkeley/Oakland. It's kind of right between the two. I think it's technically Oakland. And I bought 2 skeins of Misty Alpaca, Baby Alpaca Chunky yarn. It's gray. I still have the scarf. I knit a garter stitch scarf. And so she taught me how to knit. However, she knit everything through the back loop. So she taught me how to knit through the back loop and never taught me how to knit the normal way. I made many things that way until I realized when I went to go do a socks in the round class that I kept unknitting my cast on, and then I realized the instructor told me that I was twisting my knit stitches, so I had to relearn how to knit about a year later, but that's how I learned to knit. Spinning, I kind of taught myself with a drop spindle. I've never, no, I have spun on a wheel. I've taken a wheel spinning class, but I've only spun in that wheel spinning class, so I would not say I'm by any means an expert. And I actually did that before I learned drop spindling. I have since taken a drop spindling class just to improve my technique, but I did have the basics right. And then crocheting, I don't even really consider myself as knowing how to crochet. I can chain on, and I can do the basic crochet stitches, but I don't know how to interact with my crochet at all. So I've crocheted 1 elephant ear for an Ellie the Elephant by Susan B. Anderson, and then someone else in my mom's knit and crochet group took the other one from me and whipped it up in like 5 minutes, and the first ear had taken me about 2 hours to complete. That's the only thing I've ever crocheted. All right, number 3, your favorite or proudest make. Those are different. My favorite make, I would say, is probably my French toast pullover. I really love it. It is very beautiful. I think it's very flattering. It fits me well. I love the yarn. And yeah, I love everything about it. My proudest make, I would say, is a cabled blanket that I made for my sister-in-law's wedding. I made it out of Blue Sky organic cotton yarn in a cream color. So it's undyed, and I made it from the Cables Untangled book by Melissa Leapman, and it has all of these different cable patterns on it, and you knit them in squares and rectangles and all this stuff, and then you piece it together. The piecing was not so great. I'll be the first to admit that. I actually had my friend Gwen help me seam it up at the end. But the knitting itself was really good, and I think the finished piece was very stunning, and it was a wedding gift for her. And then I later made another cabled afghan for my other sister-in-law in a tan color. It was the Knit Picks organic cotton in, it was like toasted marshmallow or something like that. It was like a very, very light brown. color, and that I would say is probably my second proudest make. Number 4, what is your most disastrous make? The Lyric Tree hoodie. It's a terrible pattern. I do not recommend it to anyone. I usually don't diss pattern makers at all, but it's a very poorly written pattern. The yardage requirements are way off. The fit is terrible. The charting is bad. There's a lot of errors in the pattern, and I've told the designer, and so yeah, but it's a pay for pattern, so it's not like I'm throwing a fit about free pattern. I completely knit it. I wove in all the ends, and I just ripped it out this year. So it sat in my closet for a couple years. Okay, number 5. Do you have a favorite place to buy yarn or fiber, online or local? For fiber, I actually really like to buy it once a year when we go to the wool gathering. It's a local wool festival to me. And I like to be able to feel and see fiber, and I think that I can get a lot of like different fibers that are not necessarily purchasable online, and I know that they're coming from local animals, so that's what I enjoy for fiber. For yarn, obviously my favorite is Full and Vine. I love all of Kristen's yarn, so I really enjoy buying yarn from her. I also, of like the indie dyers, I would say Bull and Vine, No Makers, Moonstone Dye Works, and the Yarn at Home Mom, and Franco Fee Knits are probably the ones I have the most of in my stash, so clearly I like those dyers. And they all have their own online shops, although I'm starting to build quite the Jinx yarn stash as well. Okay, so number 6, what is your most used or most loved pattern? I knit a lot of vanilla socks, but I also love the vanilla bean pattern. I don't remember the name of the designer. Emily O'Grady. She's Ooh Fancy Pants. I always remember Ooh Fancy Pants, but it's Emily O'Grady. Ooh Fancy Pants, and it's just a slip stitch sock pattern. It's free on Ravelry. I've also knit a lot of Hermione's Everyday Socks, and I really love that pattern as well. Yeah, so I would say those are my most used patterns. My most loved pattern, I really enjoyed knitting the Oracle shawl, clearly because I also knit a Half Moon Oracle shawl, and normally I would not knit the same shawl twice, but I enjoyed it both times. Okay, your most dreaded knitting, crochet, spinning task. Weaving in ends. I hate them. You all know this if you've watched my podcast. If you're new to my podcast and you found me through Vlogmas, hello, welcome. Weaving in ends, I hate it. Okay, and your favorite task. I love turning heels. It's really cool. I feel like I am working magic. I go from having a tube to knitting a triangle to somehow magically now it's a sock. Every time, I feel like I just worked like a spell. So amazing. So, turning heels is my favorite. Number 9, what is your favorite crafty entertainment? I like watching knitting podcasts. I also listen to politics podcasts. So, I listen to the NPR Politics podcast, the 538 podcast. It's Been a Minute with Sam Sanders. It's also an NPR podcast. Yeah, that's pretty much what I watch while I knit, or listen to while I knit. Oh, sorry, and I watch Netflix, so, you know, rewatching old shows or watching new shows. Number 10, for patterns, do you prefer books, magazines, Ravelry, or would you rather make up your own? Probably Ravelry, just because of the portability of it. I own a lot of books and magazines, but I almost never knit anything from them, which is really sad because I have a lot of great patterns, and that's part of the reason that I'm doing the Stash or Shelf Challenge 2018, hashtag Stash or Shelf Challenge 2018, is to help me start using some of the beautiful patterns that I have in magazines and books, because I have like Pom Pom Quarterly, for example. I have a lot of stuff I want to knit out of there. I have a lot of older interweave magazines that have sweaters that I want to knit, and there's some Vogue knitting, older issues that I want to knit things out of. So yeah, I do want to knit more from my books and magazines, but of the things that I knit, they tend to be things that are available on Ravelry. Number 11, what is your favorite brand of knitting needles or crochet hooks? And for spinning, what is your favorite wheel? Well, that sure leaves out spindle spinners, doesn't it? All right, so favorite brand of knitting needles, Addy. I use Addy sock rockets for all of my socks. I have the Addy Click Lace Longs for my interchangeable set. And I mix those in with the Knit Picks interchangeable set, but my set is older from Knit Picks, so I can't speak to how their needles are now. I've had that one for a long, long time. And as far as for spinning, my favorite drop spindle that I own is a Trindle, and you can find them on Etsy. Excuse me. But it is like a wood shaft, and it has 3 little points coming out of it, and you can change out the weights, so you can make that spindle work for all different weights of yarn. You can change them out even during a spinning project, because as your cop gets full, you tend to spin a little bit differently, so you can actually just make your weights be a little bit heavier and keep spinning for longer on the same cop of yarn. And they're also beautiful. So there are all different kinds of gemstones. So you can have really pretty ones, and you can really customize your spindle and change it up however you want. So Trindle is my favorite drop spindle. Number 12, what is your favorite notion or tool? Oh, and I don't own a spinning wheel either. My favorite notion or tool, I love Progress Keepers. The super, super cute Progress Keepers. I'm really enjoying all the Little Bitty Delights ones that I purchased. But yeah, I love like themed Progress Keepers. They're just so fun. 13, what is your current favorite project? I don't have very many things on the needles right now that I'm actively working on, simply because I'm trying to finish my box of socks. Of the stuff that is on the needles, I would say my Star Wars So Fated. I really love that sweater, and I can't wait to finish it and wear it. 14, favorite place to knit, crochet, spin in public. I like knitting while I'm waiting in line for stuff, because it keeps me from being bored of waiting. And 15, what is your favorite fiber arts book? Wow, that's a good question. I learned a ton from the Nancy Bush Knitting Vintage Socks book. I would love to knit every pattern in there. I've knit about half of them. Yeah, about half of them. And I just love all the different heels and toes, and it has so much history about sock knitting through the years, and the patterns are all really cool. So, Knitting Vintage Socks by Nancy Bush. Number 16, do you have any other hobbies? Yes, I sew and I cross stitch, and I do card making, but it is super rare that I take time to make cards now. But for a while there, I did do it. I made like all of my Christmas cards and birthday cards and everything, and it's kind of fallen to the wayside for right now. If you could meet anyone in the fiber arts community, who would that be? I would love to meet Disa from the Disa's Craftwork podcast. We chat all the time, and she lives in Sweden, and she's become a very dear friend, so I would just love to meet her in person and sit together and have a fika and yeah, just hang out and knit together and pet her dogs and meet her husband and her son, and yeah, that would be really great. I would also love to meet Kristen, and hopefully I will get to do that at some point. It's probably less likely I'll get to meet Disa in person because it's probably less likely I'll travel to Sweden. More likely I'll go to New York because I would like to go to Rhinebeck at some point. Number 18, knit or crochet? Knit, obviously. I don't crochet. Number 19, weave or spin? Spin. Number 20, color or neutrals? Color. Although I wear a lot of neutrals, but I love knitting with color, and I like wearing knitwear that is colored. I just tend to wear, like, for shirts and pants, I like more neutrals. Sweater or socks? I like knitting both. If I had to choose one, I would say sweaters. Just because I have a lot of socks and I only have 3 hand knit sweaters. I've knit more, but I've ripped out the entire sweaters. So that's everything. That is the whole questionnaire. So I will let you know what my 2017 knitting breakdown is. So shawls. I knit 5 shawls this year. The coastline shawl, the spotlight shawl, the snow melt shawl, the oracle shawl, and the half moon oracle shawl. Socks. I have knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pairs of socks. I've knit 2 pair for Megwin, 1 pair for my son Joshua, 1 pair for my husband, and then the box of socks worth for me. Miscellaneous items. I have knit 5 washcloths, 2 of which were pumpkin shaped and the rest were Grandma's favorite washcloth, and 1 sockhead hat. And then sweaters. I have knit 5 sweaters. 3 sweaters were for children and 2 sweaters were for me. So I knit the So Faded Pint Size, the Tuddy sweater. Those are my children's Christmas sweaters. The French Toast Pullover and the Honey for me. And then I knit the Liesel sweater in the baby size for my friend Jen. And that is everything that I have knit for 2017. I'm including this pair of socks because I definitely will complete them before the end of the year. As you can see, I'm already doing the gusset decreases, so I should have these done in the next day or 2. And then I will just work on whatever I want to work on. Should be fun to do. Yeah, so I think that is probably enough content for today, so I will see you guys tomorrow.